All right, now do we have some audio? Somebody chirp back to me before I keep going. Anything? All right, we good to go, David? Y'all couldn't hear anything I was saying, but what I was saying that it has been just a frustratingly weird week. Starting off with that machine, I've got the patience of Job, but that rim right there, that front one, I got so mad I spit on the floor. I think it scared Tracy. She actually left the room, and that doesn't happen very often. But good grief, just a strange week and a strange day today. Started off my day, jury duty. Came in, did some work. Finally did get this laced up correctly after I basically Tracy color coded it for me. Then I get a call from my soon-to-be wife, Gail, and informed me that my neighbor had an issue with his riding lawnmower apparently over the weekend while we were out of town. And the far corner of my yard, it's a fairly large yard. He managed to evidently catch his lawnmower on fire and then it go into what was a cedar fence and burn down about 30 feet of it. Oh boy. Oh, and then throw on top of that, I've had my two granddaughters on Gail's side. They've been with us for I think like 12 days, which they were great. I mean, they're 2 and 4 years old, and that's a really fun, interesting age. But if you're used to it being just you and your late aged wife or seasoned wife, seasoned as I am as well, there's no good way to say that. And then being invaded by Mickey Mouse, Peppa Pig, and a constant stream of Baby Shark music that can get to anybody. But hey, we're here to do a few things. I'll have to open up a couple of other programs to get the ball rolling. And we'll do that by starting off with anything I may have missed last week. And yeah, we're back. So let's swing over to any comments or questions that I had last week that I couldn't answer or had to do a little bit of research on, which I did. I told you I would. The first one, once this document opens up, was from Wig Splitter, and he has a 2005 Suzuki Katana 750. Headers and everything else is stock, so I need to adjust the air fuel mixture screws. I just drilled out the caps on them, so they've been touched. Oh, evidently somebody had already drilled the caps on the air fuel mixture screws. Notice that all the screws were different. Like 4 was number 3 turns out, 3 was 1.5 turns out, etc. Is that normal, or all 4 supposed to be the same? And what are they supposed to be set to? Well, if you go to the Suzuki site, it indeed tells you if you are going to clean the carb, then you have to drill it out and then remove it. And that's all well and good. And you're supposed to count the turns when you go in. That way you can put them back the way they, way the factory set it. Well, when you go to the factory settings, pilot screw, PS, preset. They won't give it to you. But I did a quick search on the internet, and I believe this to be true. It was a chart. I believe it was a European chart, but it should apply to the U.S. as well. And it turns out I was correct. You're going to have different settings going from 1 through 4, because, well, let's face it, 2 and 3 have cylinders on either, next to them on either side. 1 and 4 do not. So their mixture is going to be a little different. So per this website that I found, you want 1 and 4 to be 1.5 turns out, and 2 and 3 to be 3 turns out. So start there and then see how she rides. But that'll at least get you in the ballpark. Lawson Carson 2425. I have a 1975 Yamaha DT400. The charging AC circuit produces 9 volts and burns out my 6C light bulbs. I haven't attempted to adjust my lighting coil yet, but other owners say it was notorious for that very problem. Does Partzilla have a remedy? On a 75, that's going to be hard to come up with. There is a company. It's just owned by one guy. His name is Pardue, Pardue, and I know he makes voltage regulator rectifiers from scratch. In particular, what he's known for is in the Honda CT90 community, which is well known that factory setup has a hard time, and it degrades over time, and that you don't have a replacement for it. But I know that he makes one-off regulator rectifiers for the Honda CT90. And it's under the company named Pardue Brothers. And I'd say do a search on him and see if he's got anything for your DT400. If he doesn't, he may know where to point you to. Bill Sheets 8308. What cleaning solution do you use in your ultrasonic cleaner to clean carbs? Honestly, Bill, I don't have a ultrasonic cleaner. We did at the dealership, and we were just using the solution that came with the ultrasonic machine that we were using. Does it work better than the water, just regular water? Yes, it honestly does. So I'd say any reputable supplier of an ultrasonic cleaner, I would at least try out their solution. The stuff that we used, it was in a concentrate, and we put in, I think it was 4 or 5 gallons of water. Just make sure it doesn't have lime in it. That just doesn't end well. And then you just poured in X amount of this concentrate to get things going. Scally 8888. Hey, John, really enjoying your content. I'm currently doing a valve adjustment on 2008 R6, and I've got the shims, but for some reason I can't get the timing correct. TDC always to be off a half a tooth when the exhaust and intake cam marks are in alignment with the mating surface. Is that normal at 5,000 km, 50,000 kilometers? Yeah, I mean, that is a lot. Your chain is going to stretch over time, just like your drive train, or your regular drive chain. It's going to stretch as well. So a tooth, I mean, that's going to be about like that in an R engine. So, but if you're just doing the valve adjustment on it, all you're wanting to do is just, this is the angle of the valve, then you want your cam just to be roughly in that area so you can take a measurement on the base of it, because that's where your clearance actually is. Does it have to be dead on just to adjust your valves? No, just get it close. Hey, if somebody disagrees with me on that, yeah, let me know. But I've never had a problem just eyeballing it for the most part, because there's very few machines where they're going to show you top dead center for each cam lobe, or none that I'm aware of. Shane had asked me, I've got an 06 GSX R600 that keeps blowing the 30 amp fuse, and I'm sure it's an easy fix. I don't know where to look to fix this issue, though. Absolutely no power goes to it, and the battery is good. Thanks for the help. Whew. If you're popping that main 30 amp fuse, you've got a direct short, a significant dead short somewhere on your power distribution circuit. And where is that going to be? I don't know. It could be a burnt wire inside of the harness. It could be a failed piece of equipment, such as it would have to be a large one, like the starter. But even then, you've got the starting relay in between you and it. So I would proceed with caution, trying to run this down. I would leave the battery out of the equation and I'm betting that you could use a voltmeter and go to your positive, or what should be your positive, and the other side of the ground, and it's going to show a short. And I would use my meter to run it down. Otherwise, you probably run the risk of burning up your harness, even potentially worse. Jason Newell. Hey, John, I've got a 2009 R6. I replaced the clutch with a Yamaha OEM clutch, included steel fibers and springs. When I put everything back together, my clutch has no resistance. It's as if the lever does not have enough space to make the clutch engage. It seems like I left a washer out, or 3-finger springs aren't pushing the outer clutch out enough. Do you have any idea what the issue could be? Might be. Yes. Actually, I do. If you go back and look at us when we built the R636, we went through, it was a total engine build. But at the end, one of the hardest things I had to do is get that outer clutch cover on there, because you have to have that engagement arm at a certain point when you go to put that outer casing or the clutch cover on. If you don't, then it's not going to engage at the correct distance for that push to hit that push rod to activate the clutch itself. Yeah. So that's where I would start. Take a look at that video and watch how I did it, because it's been so long, I've just about forgotten. But chances are it's your engagement point for that cover itself. Frustrating to do. So I'm sorry in advance. All right, that does it for questions last week. Let's see what y'all are throwing at me here, other than no audio. We're doing it a little bit different now, guys. Instead of me trying to read the feed, which was challenging at times, Hank is my artificial, my complete intelligence down in Florida is just lining them up for me to where I can just get a clean read on each one. Southern ATV riders ask, what causes the overcharging issue on a Sportsman 570? More than likely, that's going to be the regulation point or regulator point, part of your regulator rectifier. When it can't really find its bias point or its charge point, it'll go to the extreme for the most part. And that's not something you can really test for. Not like on the rectification side, where you can at least see half of the diodes. For the regulation side, that's a completely different type circuit that you really can't peer into from the outside of the unit, so to speak. But that's typically what goes wrong with it. It's just the circuitry that's they're using to tell it how much current to voltage and current to send out of it. Armando Cardona asks, hey John, I've got an LTZ 400 that's leaking a rear brake line. Okay, brand new brake line, rear caliper, and I was bleeding the brakes and all the fluid leaks. Banjo bolts are tight with 2 copper washers. All right. Have you sprayed it down with any type of contact cleaner? Because and to get a dry base to go with it. Some of the hardest things I've ever had to run down is where something is leaking. You see this large area where you've got all these lines and pieces of machinery, and it's all just soaking wet from some type of leak. I found it's easier if you spray it all down and blow it dry. If you've got some type of compressed air, then you can see the origin of where the leak is starting. But you've already done the lines, the calipers, and the banjo bolts. I mean, it's got to be cutting loose somewhere that you're missing. So just spray it all down, dry it down, and then hit it and look at it, and it should reveal itself to you at that point. But it looks like you've replaced everything that can be replaced. And that's a little bit odd, but do that and then let us know what you find on it. I'll be curious. Hank, if you would, why don't you drop our new handy dandy email in the chat for Armando, and maybe have him send me a couple of photos so I can see what he's seeing. Sound like a deal? I know it's ask Partzilla at partzilla.com, but it's a little bit longer than that, and I'm sure Hank's already dropped it in the chat. I just can't see the chat at this particular moment. All right, next in line, Kyle Mitchell has asked me, "Hi, John. My question today is on my 2014 Polaris Sportsman WV850. It will give a hard idle and periodically shut down. On starting after it shut down, it stumbles for a good 5 to 10 seconds before it starts. New plugs have been installed, but still happens." That almost sounds like an intake leak to me. So I think she's pulling air from where it shouldn't be. It's a little bit of a risky maneuver, but an old school one. Just have a fire extinguisher nearby. When it's idling, if you take a brake cleaner or carb cleaner, just kind of spray the intake or on either side, and if she starts to ramp up, it's pulling in air from where it should not. But that's my bet at this point is it's got a leak on the intake somewhere at this point. Armando asked another one. In your opinion, best beginner 250cc dirt bike for taller, heavier riders, 5'6", 230 pounds. Hey, 230 isn't heavy, man. Come on. Either something like the CRF 230. I believe Kawasaki has a 220. But honestly, a rider that's a little bit more robust, like yours truly here, I think you could easily go to the 250X model from Honda. So it's not the CRF 450R. That's the full-blown race, just for motocross. The X has the same look, but it's a little bit tamer. I would consider it more of a woods type bike. As a matter of fact, I think it even has a headlight on it. So I would strongly consider the 250X from Honda. The last quote motocross bike I had, oh good gosh, that was an 87 CR 250R. But then I decided I wanted to try riding just a little bit more before my knee pretty much gave out. I went to a 450X and I was really happy with it. It's just I ran out of body, and they say with age comes a cage. Well, there you go. All right, Armando says, okay, LTZ 400 rear brake line leaking from the banjo bolt. Oh, it is leaking from the banjo bolt on the rear caliper. I tried everything off, and that was the result. Well, definitely send me a picture of it. But did we replace the banjo bolt? I've never had to do that before. Usually, if you've got a new caliper, new washers, or those copper washers, and the line going through there, it should seal it up. But if there's an imperfection somewhere on the banjo bolt up at the head, I could see how it might let out some fluid. But at any rate, if you can, send me a picture, and I'll take a peek at it. All right, guys, it looks like I've caught you, at least from Hank's perspective, and just want to apologize for it starting out so rocky this morning. Sometimes technology just doesn't want to play nice. Well, once again, everybody, thanks for hanging in there with us, asking me some really good questions, and just hanging out with us. So I just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla. It makes all of this stuff possible, and normally it's a fun job as long as I don't have to lace up another one of these confounded mini bike wheels. But hey, I did figure it out, and if you wait around a couple more weeks, Tracy will get it edited, and you can watch the madness unfold. I'm going to give her free rein to really show how frustrating it was for me to pull that off. Well, everybody have a great weekend, a great week, and God willing, we will see you next weekend on time at 3 o'clock. I'll even try to test the system before we go live. Sound like a deal? Y'all take care. See you then.